Hello, Catamount Nation, and welcome to Tracking the Cats. Earlier this afternoon, Steve White and I recorded a session with baseball head coach Alan Beck, which you'll see momentarily. In the meantime, important news has been breaking from campus in Cullowhee. The WCU Board of Trustees this afternoon voted to approve the appointment of our next athletic director, Kyle Pifer. Since 2020, Kyle has served as Deputy Athletics Director and Chief Operating Officer for Catamount Athletics. But prior to that, Kyle had served with Alex Gary as an Assistant AD at Oregon State University. He's had other stints with University of Washington and Gonzaga University, so he's pretty well versed and ready to take on this role. He'll be formally announced tomorrow, Tuesday, May 20th, on campus, and it'll be live streamed. So go to catamountsports.com and get the link to view that live or watch a recording if you're just seeing this later in the day on Tuesday or later in the week. So now we'll go to our main show with Coach Alan Beck. Welcome to Tracking the Cats. I'm your host, Bob Sabin, and my other host over here, Steve White. We've got a returning guest with us today. As always, we're sponsored by Stanberry Insurance with offices in Silva, Waynesville, and Highlands. Good for all your insurance needs, and we thank them for their sponsorship. We do have today our 3-year head coach for baseball, Alan Beck. All-time great, 3 All-Southern Conference honors, 2003 Baseball Player of the Year, and just a record breaker in a number of ways, especially with hitting. We're getting close to the Southern Conference tournament this week, and that's exciting because I'm not sure whether we're peaking at the right time or just showing up to our full potential, but I think that's something the coach can answer for us. But Steve, tell us a little bit about what's going on in Catamount Athletics this week.
Well, today the new AD is supposed to be revealed, and then tomorrow they're going to have the official announcement, press conference, whatever you call it, at 10 o'clock in the Ramsey Center Hospitality Room. And I think this will be my 10th AD that I've been through here at Western Carolina. I think 8 chancellors and 10 ADs. So that's a lot of people. Congratulations to Coach Jesse Norman and the WCU track and field teams, both the men's and women's team finishing second in the Southern Conference tournament down in Birmingham at Samford University. And of course, this past weekend, our regular season ended at UNC Greensboro. Saw the Catamounts win 2 of 3. Great starting pitching there from Davis Wright and Dusty Revis. And of course, our hitting picked up again on Sunday, back to where it is. It's, I think as good as there is in the conference. And I got a little interesting thing here. We were talking about, asked Coach Beck if he had ever hit for the cycle. Jack Spike, of all people, who is really a catcher, he's a first baseman catcher, but for a catcher who is his primary position, to hit for cycle is unbelievable. Single, double, triple, home run. And that triple is usually the hardest part. And I went back and did a little research. Since baseball started in 1876, there's only been in Major League Baseball 319 cycles, 300 players and 19
Wow.
players there. And they said the odds of hitting for a cycle is 0.00056. So that's like, say, you have an earthquake in Cullowhee about that many times. About what we had one a week ago Saturday. But the Southern Conference tournament starting Wednesday in Greenville. The Catamounts will be opening the tournament at 3 o'clock against VMI, team that we got us 2 out of 3 times. Coach might want to elaborate on that later on. And we must win to advance to the double elimination phase of the tournament. And if we do, we would play Thursday at 3 o'clock against Mercer. And like I say, some interesting numbers. Coach, I don't know if you looked at this or not. This is really weird to me. The longest winning streak in the Southern Conference for any team going into the tournament is 1 game. The longest losing streak for a Southern Conference team right now going into the tournament is 1 game. Everybody is 1-1 in their last 2 games in the Southern Conference, which is a little bit weird.
Yeah, given the power and the strength of some of these teams like Samford and ETSU. But
yeah, That is strange, Ed. Just the longest winning streak is a one-game winning streak, and the longer one's a losing streak in the conference. So that tells you,
I didn't know that.
yeah, that's makes it wide open. I think. Well, here again, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, so the last few weeks, we've definitely seen some increase in hitting and better pitching. Do you feel like, Coach, as I mentioned early on, is this kind of a peaking thing? Is this a playing to their potential that you expected all along? What are you thinking going into this tournament, sir?
I mean, we're one of the hottest teams in the conference. I mean, we've won 4 consecutive series. It didn't start out the way we any of us wanted to at 2-7 after 3 weekends, but 8-4 in your last 4 conference games or weekends, I feel like that there's not another team in the league that's done it. So we're as hot as anybody.
Yep, we're pretty pleased with how it's been going. But Steve,
And this is when you want to be playing your best. I mean,
absolutely,
you're definitely
absolutely.
figuring out the pitching from when we played VMI initially, our weekend rotations much different. They didn't really get to see Dusty because Dusty got hit in the foot, and I think he's the best in the league. So I'm looking forward to watching what he does against them.
Yeah, Coach, talking about pitching, a lot of strategies, a lot of thoughts about this, especially when maybe not when you're playing in an elimination game, the first game, but what is your strategy with your pitching staff playing in an elimination round game? Do you gamble with someone other than a proven starter, say with David Wright or Revis? What do you do in this situation? I've seen it go one way or the other. What is your strategy?
Our strategy is to throw Dusty. So that's our strategy.
Yeah.
We're going to do whatever it takes to win the game. And obviously, if something goes sideways, everybody's available that first game. And then you just have to figure it out. But I feel like he's the best in the league. He's been pitching as good as anybody late. I wouldn't want to have anybody else out on the mound.
So if you start him Wednesday, when would you have him available back? If let's say he goes 6-7 innings, would you be able to have him back by Saturday or?
I'd say probably Sunday.
Okay.
I mean, realistically, we decided after the Georgia Tech Saturday game, they won the ACC and we knew they were pretty good at the time, but we should have beat them Saturday. And Dusty was on the mound, and just with how it was going on and everything, we just then talking with the other coaching staff, and if we were to have to play to get in, or if we were already in the tournament, there's nobody else that any of our team would want other than Dusty to get the ball in game 1.
Yeah, I texted Steve yesterday saying if we could have only grabbed a couple of the runs that we had yesterday and thrown them back at Saturday, it would have been really nice. But
no doubt. No, Saturday or the second game, I keep getting messed up because Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Friday. Sorry, the Friday game.
Well, both pitchers threw well. It was a good day to pitch, and it was a zone that obviously was a little bit bigger. We pride ourselves in strike zone discipline and taking our walks, and a walk is as good as a hit, but it was about near impossible to get a walk on that second game. The umpire was equal and fair on both sides, but he was wide. And that's why it was such a low scoring game. I mean, both teams can play, both teams can hit. Neither pitcher that threw was really that good. I mean, they were definitely good. I don't want to take anything away from Davis or Murchison, but when every ball in the strike zone is called a strike and 24 of them outside of the strike zone are called strikes, it's fine. As long as it's fair for both sides, I'm good with it. We should have adjusted quicker offensively. But yeah, it was a wide zone. It was a good day to be a pitcher.
Yeah, as they say, there's 2 things you can't control in the baseball. Number 1 is weather. Number 2 is the umpire. So there you go, Coach. Looking at the field in this tournament, I know you just said we think we're as hot as anyone. Is there anybody in there right now you would not want to play? Early on before maybe the championship game or something like that you'd like to avoid in the tournament. Now I know you can't avoid them if you're going to make it all the way to the championship game, but is there someone that maybe has our number or you just rather like to stay away from them?
A team that I would not like to play, I'd probably have to say the Catamounts.
Yeah.
So
nice.
No, I just, it's such, like you said, with the win streak, lose streak, being at 1 on both sides. I mean, it could potentially be the best the league's ever been. As it's right now this morning on our SoCon call, is the sixth best league in the country. Better than the Sun Belt, better than the American. It's a great baseball league. So it's just a lot of people outside of the league don't understand that, but any team can beat anybody on it any day. It's going to be all about, good defense, good pitching, timely hitting this week. It's about playing the next pitch, not getting too far ahead or letting momentum or letting something that happens or a call dictate, how you feel. It's just playing that next pitch and doing the best you can to get off the field when you're on defense.
So, speaking of the strength of the conference, let's say we win, or God forbid, East Tennessee was to win, and one of us takes out Samford in the championship game. Do you think there's any shot at all that the NCAA would throw a second berth at us this year?
I'd say probably not.
Yeah.
Just with everybody's 8 RPI. I mean, it's all in pretty good shape, but ETSU is probably the only school that could legitimately have an argument about being in contention right now. And I think they are. They're probably outside looking in. Last I checked, they were high 40s. We went into this thing in 2014 as 39th in the country. And, we went 2 and done, lost a 3-2 good ball game against a good Furman team, and lost to a big leaguer in Sam Howard at Georgia Southern, I think 9-7. And we were done. Our season was over. We finished like 52, 53. But really nowadays, you got to be like high 30s. You got to feel like you're, if you're in real good shape, you're 32, 33. I mean, if they would have swept the Citadel or at least won that series, and they still could potentially get in them, I definitely think that they were the best team in our league this year throughout the duration of the league. So I would like to think that we could have 2 teams in, because we used to get 3 teams in.
Right.
In 2009, 2010, 2012, years ago, but the league wasn't even the 6th best league in the country then. It was like the 7th best league or the 8th best league. I mean, to take the jump that it has this year with us being as senior heavy as it was last year, even for us, we lost a ton of guys, shows you what kind of coaches are in this league and what kind of programs, that are in this league.
Yeah. You go back, look at how the league, like how many ranked teams, even though the rankings really not supposed to have anything to do with it, to the national, the polls and so forth. But what the Southeastern Conference, the ACC, how many, they've expanded those leagues from 8 to 10 teams now to what, 16? I don't even know how many teams are to see anymore.
Yep.
But that has a lot to do with when it comes to picking the field. Yeah. So
100%.
That's right. Coach, another thing here is just looking at your roster right now and who is scheduled to return next year. The future really, really, to me, looks bright for Catamount baseball. Now, I know things can happen during the off season. There's always things going on that we can't control. But golly, I was up there at senior day last week and looking at who we're losing and who we supposedly got coming back. You've got to be excited about next year's team.
Oh yeah. No, this year's team is peaking at the right time and playing its best baseball late, and, looking to next year, after the tournament. But as far as, we lose Jack Spike, who obviously is, the Mr. Cycle, so I didn't even know what was going on. He came to third all fired up, and I was just happy for him. He hit a triple. Maybe he's like, that was a cycle. I'm like, damn, that's unbelievable. Because I've only seen a handful of those. I mean, Bradley Strong, Aaron Attaway did it in 2014 in the same game, which is pretty special. Didn't see Bowman's, but remembered Bowman's. I had one person in 7 years at Georgia Southern that did it. So it's not easy to do, but you should have seen him getting around first to third as fast as he's ever moved in his life.
Yeah. I saw Craig. Yeah. I saw Craig Brooks back in, I think, 85. In 1985, when Coach Leggett was here and everything, that he was a colorway boy and actually that's the first cycle I had ever remembered at Western and so forth. But there's been a few since then. But I just can't believe you didn't have one. That's
Never did.
Of all people.
I was definitely faster than Spike. So I don't know. Maybe I pulled up at second base and was happy with my double a little bit, or never put myself in that position. But I'm definitely excited about the future. I mean, Trent and Mason both have told me that they want to come back and exercise that 5th year that the NCAA granted them, having been on junior college. Young players, we were playing 3 freshmen every day, Trey, Noah, and Wyatt. And those guys have done a great job, and they'll only improve the more reps that they get. I mean, Braden Korn has been a really nice addition this year and plays with an energy at the top of our lineup. And Elijah has had a really nice sophomore year. So, when you look at it, and Freeze being a junior, and there's some stuff that could happen with the draft, and we'll feel really good about keeping those guys. I mean, they love it here, and they're catamounts. And then you add a couple guys here and there. Obviously, Dusty will be gone this year, well enough to where he should be a good pick in this year's draft. So I'd love to have him back too. I'd take him if he wants to come back. We'll find a way to make that happen. I'm sure somebody would come out and support him.
So it appears that the draft is actually a bigger issue for baseball than the portal. You don't have to deal with the portal as much as the other sports, or
no, I mean, it's just different. I mean, where are you going to go up from here? You're in the 6th best league in the country. You're at a top 100 program. We just finished back-to-back winning seasons for the first time in 11 years. I mean, I think just people like being around of the tradition, the people that have played here before us. But it's like, yeah, you might be able to move up, but we're at the highest level. We're at the Division I level. We're competing in the 6th best conference in the country. No other sport here plays at that level. So I think that's the reason we don't have as many people going in. There's only so many spots you can go up when you're, around the 100th best in the country, So we're not there right now, and I think we're like 120 something RPI wise is what I look at, and I'm sure it'll happen, and but it gives too, So I mean, Dusty was a product out of it, having been a little later developer and kind of during that COVID process, and went to Mars Hill, and thankfully his girlfriend chose Western. I'd have hated if she'd have chose App or something. So, but I think being a part of our program and being an alumni from here is special just because of the people that have come before us. So I try to push that on our guys and just make them understand how important it is to be a piece of the program.
Yeah.
Well,
be a
you
little
guys-
trivia
go
here,
ahead.
right? Talking
Yeah.
about Dusty and everything, Coach Beck. I went back through and looked up, and I remember a lot of these guys back when I was in school, undergraduate, about 100 years ago. But I've counted up from McDowell County, we've had 21 baseball players who have actually been letter winners at Western Carolina or Catamounts from McDowell County. Now that's an unusual number.
I know at least 4 right-handers that have played pro ball.
Yeah.
I mean, Donnie Suttles,
Yeah.
Greg Holland, Zach Franklin, and Dusty Will.
Yeah.
I'm sure there might be another one, though. There's no telling.
Yeah, there's just a tremendous number. Roger Miller and Ken Morgan and Leonard Goforth and Gary Grindstaff. I can just go on and on about Ron Young.
That's where Gary was from.
Yeah, they're all from McDowell County, and most of them from,
Nice.
as they say, downtown Mern, not Marion, Mern.
Mern.
Yeah, that's like I live in Marietta, right? Georgia. Coach, you guys got some good PR on our podcast last week. We were talking about baseball and how you guys are doing better, but we also talked about the crowds coming out. Tell us a little bit about your support, what you like, and what you've seen folks who are actually coming out on a pretty spring day to watch your guys play.
Yeah, I mean, it means everything to our guys. I think we played in front of the biggest crowds ever in the history of the program, according to marketing. And I think we had more revenue this year than we ever have, than we've ever generated before in a year's baseball season. So just very excited. I mean, it means everything to the guys. I mean, we got passionate fans. We got a loyal fan base that follows, and we travel well. The umpires noticed that this weekend. They were fussing at our fans. Like, man, y'all are the mouthiest bunch. Everybody wants to win. And I'm not going to tell them to tone back. You crazy. But the support from the community is great. The support from our parents, the program, and families of the program has been great. And then, it's just, it's special to a lot of people. And, by having them come out, it makes it special to our guys.
I wish we could go back to the liquid pouring that some of the fans used to do as y'all took victory laps with the left field lunatics.
Me
But
too.
Yeah, yeah. Like I say, there's not many of them. But I think I'm well over 2,600 Western Carolina baseball games I've seen since the '60s. So there's a few of them out there that might push me a little bit. Our fans,
Yeah.
they're a loyal group, but I think I might be at the top right now.
I think you are too.
well, yeah, Greenville baseball venue is a great place to go, and I would encourage folks to go down there. And there is a gathering. What is it? 1 o'clock Max Speed Shop.
Max Speed Shop, 1:30 at Max Speed Shop, right adjacent to the stadium. Right there, you can see the stadium from Max Speed Shop. It's a great little place. Last couple of years, we've had some great crowds in there, great baseball supporters, running into people like Jack Leggett, Wayne Tollison, who are legends in
Wow.
Western Carolina, people like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, please, everybody come out and support us. We're gonna play to win that first one and get in the tournament. But I told the guys to pack for the week, so we anticipate staying down there.
I wish I could be there again. I've been to a number of times. It's a nice, easy drive up from Atlanta, but I'm heading out of town with family for the week, so I will miss it this year. But if you guys get an extension and ability to play the following weekend, I'll go to Tally or Chapel Hill or Clemson or wherever it is. So,
Coach
It'd be
Beck,
awesome.
I'll be there, Coach Beck. You can count on that.
No, that's right.
well, thanks again for being with us, Coach. We appreciate it. Wish you all the best of luck. Love to see where the program's going, and I'm sure we will see you again over the next few months. Maybe even if the season gets extended, we'll get a chance to talk to you again. But that kind of does it for this episode of Tracking the Cats. Steve White and myself, on behalf of us, thanks again, Coach Beck. Brought to you by Stanberry Insurance in Waynesville, Silva, and Highlands. And we will see y'all soon.